Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I'm Beth Thompson with Affinity Consulting, and today we're going to be talking about achieving optimal efficiencies in NetDocuments with VerQu's Hive. And I've got some of my great friends here that I'm going to introduce to you in just a moment. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. I'm sure you guys are all used to this by now with all of the Zoom meetings that we have all been in, but you guys are all muted. If you do have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A or the chat window to ask those questions. And hopefully at the end, we'll have time for those. And if we don't, we promise we will follow up with you and answer any questions that you guys may have. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to some of my friends at VerQ. We've got Ian Tighe, who is the VP of Sales, as well as Scott Whitman, who is an Executive Account Manager. And last but not least, we've got Ashley Mora, and she's a software engineer and actually going to be showing you the tool as we talk about how to make NetDocuments more efficient. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to you guys and let you share with the group. Now, one thing I did want to mention is, we've all heard and seen recently that you guys are now part of the Relativity family, and I'm curious, and I'm sure everyone else is, how that fits in with you guys at VerQ and what great things are to come. So if maybe you could spend a little moment talking about that, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. Beth, if you want to unshare.
I did.
Perfect. Yep. Beautiful. Great. So let me open up this and let me go here. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. Ian, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, and thanks, Beth. So I guess cat's out of the bag, so to speak. We hit 2021. One of the highlights very early on was being acquired by Relativity. A well-known e-discovery and surveillance platform. Leveraged by virtually all law firms across the world, right? So it's really exciting to join the family at Relativity. Some of the synergies that we had across a combined vision of thought leadership was really a perfect fit. We're excited to be continuing development not only Hive for NetDocuments, but also our Hydra and Phoenix platforms as well. So the partnership is continuing to move forward, and we're continuing to grow in that avenue. But again, we're very excited for kind of what's to come in the future, and we couldn't be happier with everyone at Relativity and sort of how they've been welcoming us to the family. And again, if you have any questions with regards to the acquisition, feel free to reach out to us either on the call or a sales rep that you might be working with at Affinity as well. We can get you some answers if you require some deeper knowledge. One of the things I did want to touch on, so VerQ has been working with law firms, corporate legal for over the past 4+ years. And we're not just making solutions. So we're working hand in hand with firms to solve challenges, is how I like to put it. We're not just putting out product and sort of hoping it hits the mark. We're always aiming at end user adoption, security around users, groups, and giving organizations really the ability to make better decisions on their data. And pairing with a company like Relativity, who focuses on uncovering the truth and really hitting on data and doing really cool things with it. It really is a really nice story to tell as we sort of move forward here with Hive, working with Affinity and NetDocuments. And we think that this will be a huge benefit for customers in this year and moving forward. Going to the next slide, Scott. So again, Relativity, I'm sure everyone knows who they are in the marketplace. And just with regards to some of the data that we're going to be working with them on, includes a lot of our connectors from our Hydra platform. Again, any questions around that, feel free to reach back out to us. And again, just organizing data. Some of the key things that we focus on with our Hive product is focusing on users and groups and the data that is most precious to law firms itself. within the DMS in NetDocuments. So being able to act upon it has always been a big thing. A key takeaway from 2020 at ND Elevate was VerQ winning the ISV Partner of the Year award. And this was a really big feather in our cap, and we couldn't have been more excited about it, as the continual work from our development, engineering, and sales efforts really paid off big. We saw a huge adoption of our Hive platform for law firms such as, Wiley Rain, Hush and Blackwell, Aiken Gump, for example, that leverage all of our technology and are continuing to expand the footprint that Hive has within not only NetDocuments, but also, now bleeding into online archives, which I know we'll touch on here. So again, firms who are looking to increase user adoption, understand visibility from a security perspective, groups, and really act on data, that's what we're targeting with Hive moving forward here.
Thanks, Ian. So what we're going to focus on now is really what are the challenges in the DMS space, and in particular your NetDocuments DMS. Again, the DMS is like the holy grail these days, and what's happening is you have so much information there that, as Ian said, having visibility into the environment is really critical from security perspective, from analytics, and then being able to remediate on things that you find. And we'll show you that in a short demo later. But from a high level, I just want to address some challenges. And when I walk through these challenges are based on our conversations with law firms and corporate law. So we engage and we love hearing pain points that a firm has. What's causing you a problem? What would you like to see be able your people be able to do within the NetDocuments platform to be more efficient, to improve the workflow, things like that. So this list was developed from speaking to law firms that have been using NetDocuments for some of them as much as 10, 15 years. So let's talk about the first one. So the first one is about admins having full cabinet access. So again, what happens in NetDocuments is any of your service admins or people that you've assigned to for the help desk, things like that, what happens is they all have full cabinet rights and admin cabinet rights, in fact. And again, that's a big security issue, and it limits the capabilities of those service admins to be able to properly do their job. So our solution, Hive, and I'm not here to really, yes, we want to talk about Hive, but at the same time, I want to just mention some of these challenges because you may be experiencing that. And if you are, then obviously there is a solution that we can help you with. So that's a big pain point where you can go in, you can manage roles, and you could give everybody the right permissions to do their job correctly without everybody being in a cabinet admin. The other pain point was where firms wanted the ability to monitor and alert on user activity. Again, being able to take a deep dive into your NetDocuments environment and see who's working with what documents, is the wrong person having access to some documents that somehow they got access to that they shouldn't. Just in general, what's going on in the environment, and being able to alert on activity. So if a person downloads too many documents or is interacting with something, how can you go and be alerted to that and then be able to act on that? So that's a big pain point that a lot of firms have had. Does your firm need to have more granular visibility into the environment? Kind of goes with the one above, but again, from a security perspective, and I'll say, and we'll touch on it later, but if you're looking to adopt or have adopted collab spaces, right? So now all of a sudden you're now communicating with external users. Well, again, there's a risk when you deal with external users. So being able to have visibility into those external users and what they're working on is something that firms are looking for. And then the other thing that was a high pain point was firms that either have adopted ND Mail or are considering adopting ND Mail and have an archive mail server, email archive, and being able to sync your exchange online with your ND Mail has been a pain point. So again, as we talk about Hive, that is something that we are able to do. So these 4 challenges, and there's several others, but I didn't want to, make the list too long. These challenges, when we get approached with them, we love that, because then we are a technology company. So let me say that we're not a solutions company. We're not a training company. That's why we partner with Affinity. So we are purely tech, and our goal is to identify problems or challenges in your DMS, and then build solutions to be able to provide you that functionality. For those of you attending, I'm sure you've seen this wheel, the NetDocuments Wheel, and the new solution set that NetDocuments has created, from organize, learn, deliver, plan, and protect. And what we try to do is show how our solutions and how the Hive platform aligns with the NetDocuments solutions. So, as you'll see with protect, right, we have a security a module that can enhance the protection that you're already getting with your NetDocuments platform. So everything we're trying to do, the NetDocuments platform is a great platform and it's very robust, but there are those gaps, and we try to fill the gaps. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Ashley and have her show you a short little demo on the Hive platform, focusing in on security, analytics, and remediation, which are the top 3 things people are asking for.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Scott. So to begin with our analytics, it's made up of 2 sections. We have our users and groups, as well as some storage. The users and groups tab gives us more information on who's in our repository. Some information here showing us user adoption. So we can zone in on the new users that are being added. And then we can also see how they're contributing to the environment by viewing who's the most active and the least active user. We can also monitor who has the most permissions. And again, so you can assure that everything, all the admins have the correct permission and that there's no one in there that kind of has the keys to the castle. Then we also down below show you how these new users are being provisioned into the groups. So here we show you some top groups that have new users, as well as groups that have the most permissions. On this page, we also show you any users who have never logged in, as well as any groups that don't have users. And what we can do is use our remediation tool to figure out what we want to do with that information. So we display the data and we allow you to act on it. In this case, if you want to revoke some licenses for attorneys that aren't using it, you can give it out to others that will use it correctly. In regards to our storage, we see information on what's in the repository. So again, if a user has the given permission, they can use our remediation tool to act on any of this data. For example, they can come in here and fix any unfolded items. They can come and delete large unused documents to help from a storage perspective. And they can even bulk check in all the documents that are checked out so the attorneys can continue working on them. We also show you the product usage. And you can zone in on this and see what lawyers are using what tools. And then also remove any attorneys from being able to access those tools. So now jumping into our security module is composed of security analytics. And what this is showing you are potential risks in your environment. So right from the screen, we can see anything that's been deleted, shared by email, any ACL changes, and any downloads being performed. To get more information on this, we can just export the data, and that'll give us more granular information on what lawyer is performing these actions and the affected documents. Another thing we can do here is say we have new attorneys or an attorney that's leaving the firm soon. We can come in here and we can filter out and monitor their activity and assess if they are a threat. Once I filter out this user, these 4 charts will show me the analytics based on that user. We are also able to set alerts on any item or user in NetDocuments, and I'll jump into that in just a second. But continuing on, we show you some externally shared containers and documents. You can also see what type those are. So we just started using collab spaces. And the cool thing about this is I can zone into any one of these containers or documents and see what outside users have access to this information. We also show you the most active cabinets, workspaces, users, and files, and again, allow you to see who's contributing the most on those.
And Ashley, I think one of the things to note is people always want to know, oh, who's the most active in the environment, right? But one of the big takeaways a lot of firms come to us with are what are the top.
I think we lost Ian for a second there.
We did. He'll come back.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think I continue, going off of what he was saying is it's really important to see who is performing these actions in your environment. It's cool to see who is the most active, but we also want to see what exactly they're doing in the environment and assure that they should be doing these things. So then moving on to our bottom half here, our remediation tool can come in here and fix things like any broken inheritance. And then it can also watch IP usage. So jumping back to our alerts. In order to keep any threats out of the environment, we can create alerts to monitor users or items. So I've entered our alerts page, and what this is showing you are our current alerts. If I wanted to add an alert, I could just click Add Alert. And from here, we see how we can configure these alerts. So I can select the target, whether it be on alerting on all users, all documents, or if I want a specific user or document. And then we also allow you to alert on presets. So for example, any secret subpoenas that are being worked on. From there, we can select the action that you want to alert on. We have a lot we pull from the consolidated logs, things like ACL changing, creating collab spaces, adding and removing any groups or users in the repository. Once you've selected the action to monitor on, then you would just select the threshold and frequency as to how often you'd want to be alerted. And then you could save the alert.
So to that point, that's a huge pain point that a lot of firms and corporate legal ask for, because again, having to cull through activity logs to see what's going on after the fact, by setting up these alerts, you can be notified right away what's going on in your environment. So alerting was something that got asked quite often, and that's what caused us to add this feature into Hive.
Yeah, thank you for that, Scott. Moving on with that, we can edit the alerts here. So you can come in here and enter the email addresses that you'd like to be notified, as well as how often the alerts are checked. So from this window, as Scott was just saying, it helps you prevent any malicious or unusual activity from happening in the environment. And then another cool thing our security does is within our security graph, we can see what has already been done in the environment. From here, you can see what documents are being worked on and how users are collaborating with each other. So to go over what we're looking at, this graph is composed of nodes, and the legend on the right side explains what each node is. So we have a couple of users in here, some documents, and a couple of collab spaces that are currently being worked on. Just from a visualization point, you can easily see which users are collaborating with each other, and then also pinpoint which documents they're all working on together as well.
And Ashley, a lot of customers that we have ask that exact question from an audit perspective, right? So they ask a firm like an Affinity to come in and be able to say, hey, I need to be able to determine who acted on this particular document, right? And being able to say these particular users or a group access it within this period of time. So giving that visibility, again, is a step forward in just understanding everything that's happening out there. And from an audit perspective, that's been our number one thing, is understanding who modified a particular document within a date range.
Yeah, thank you for that. So actually going off of what Ian was just saying, you can get really good visibility by right-clicking and viewing any of the nodes here. And what this pulls up is the total activity being done on the user. You can see the action the user is performing, as well as the affected documents or items in the repository that it's working on. And a cool thing we can do with this as well is do the same with any other item in your environment. Outside of just a user, I'm able to view the events that are occurring on the document, as well as easily see the users that are working on this document. An added layer of security here would be showing you the objects that are in alarm. So what does this tell us? If I hover over the node, which is a user that has an alarm on it, I can click into it and get more information on what's going on with it. So here I see who it's collaborating with. And then I also get a quick picture of the activity by time, as well as when it went over that allowed threshold. Again, zoning in on the viewing events, if I wanted to go see specifically what they were doing when they went over the threshold, I can come back here and I can look for that, or I can export it as needed. If you want to see a record of everything a user has access to, you would come to our user access section. So this page is going to show you activity and access rights for an attorney, so we can better understand what role they play in the environment. Going through this, we have some information on the user as well as access they have to repositories and cabinets. And then on the right side, we're able to toggle through all the different items in NetDocuments. For example, if we have new collab spaces created, I can come in here and see what attorney has, what this attorney has access to. And then I can also see the exact permission that they have for this item. With this, our user access can give you a report on any internal as well as any external user in the environment.
Ashley, we do have a question in the Q&A, if you don't mind me posing that while we have some time left.
Absolutely.
This is a question around alerts. And the example is, if an attorney, can you set it up for an attorney, for example, as a user, to be alerted on particular documents when changes are made or there's any activity on it by their assistant or by anyone else?
Yes, absolutely. So you can zone in on a specific document and kind of monitor that, as well as go into our security graph and view what's already been done on that item.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's a great question. Again, we try to get it very granular, and that's the beauty of it. So from a security perspective, We've spoken to a lot of security people within firms, and they find this very valuable because, again, as we've said earlier, the DMS is it holds the holy grail, right? There's so much data being put into your DMS that it's really important that it's buttoned down and that you are able to monitor and alert on it. Thanks, Ash. I think you're good. So Beth, we'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Just trying to get my proper screen to share. Got it. Well, listen, first of all, thank you to Ian, Scott, and Ashley. I know this has been super informative. Hopefully everyone on the call thinks the same. If you would like to continue the conversation, learn more about Hive or any of the other offerings by VerQ or Relativity, please reach out to me and I can help make that happen, whether that's a consultation for you and your firm or even a demo, a little expanded demo from what Ashley was able to show us. We're happy to do that. We have recorded this session and this will be available on demand. So if you have any colleagues that you would like to share this with, please feel free to do so. You will have access to that. And then lastly, what I would like to say is, please check out our website. We always have webinars for our clients and prospective clients, and would love for you to join us again. I don't think we have any other questions. Karen, do you have any that you see that I have not seen?
I think we're good.
Perfect. Well, we thank you all for attending and we hope you have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.